Good morning, everyone. This is your Flash Black here with another kind of discussion topic, question kind of thing for you guys. I am aspiring to become a writer, and my writing a crap ton of books at the moment. But the main novel I'm focusing on is my novel called Spellbound, and in that novel series, I use a lot of mages and wizards and witches and supernatural beings and whatnot. What I normally do when I'm writing with my writing, whenever I craft a new story, is I do my basic plot summary and then my characters, and then I craft my universe around my characters. And I've heard that's apparently like a backwards way of writing, like you're supposed to construct the universe first and then the characters within it and all that kind of stuff. But this way works better for me. So I'd like to propose to you guys, what exactly do you like to see when it comes to, like magic in fiction, and it can be like anything, like anime, manga, uh, books, movies, television, really kind of anything because uh, I really like seeing magic in fiction, even if it's not like a whole lot of it. Uh, I really kind of like it, and this kind of plays into my review for tomorrow. Uh, but I'll get to that tomorrow. And so, I kind of want to take this time, I guess, to kind of discuss like the uses of magic in like various works of fiction. And kind of, and once again, pros to you guys. What is it that you like to see when it comes to magic and fiction? What kind of, like list some examples or whatever, kind of, like because magic in fiction works in different ways depending on universe. There's a lot of variation between what what uh, the importance that magic plays within the story and the setting itself, and it really does vary. Like one of the things I really hate about like magic fiction is when magic is treated like a science, because it's really not. And I guess it kind of gets brought up then in universes where magic and science are coexisting within the same place. Where some, like in the Dresden Files novel series, magic fucks up technology, for example, and it's kind of incorporated with science, which it kind of makes it a bit difficult for me to like really get into, but it's okay because like with my particular match system, I kind of want science and physics to somewhat play a role in how the magic works, but not completely. Uh, and so like when science is used, science is concrete for the most. We are stable on the ground because of gravity. We are made up of atoms and molecules, and we have a periodic table of elements that, when you combine certain elements, we get chemical compounds and things like that. That is science. That is concrete. It explains the world around us and why things work the way they work in our day-to-day natural lives. Magic, on the other hand, is a little bit different, although it can be used in the same way if we're dealing with one of those settings where, magic is really everywhere, magic is fully part of, like, society, and it's used kind of in place of science. Uh, and I kind of like that sometimes, but I prefer more modern settings. I do urban fantasy series, I guess what I'm getting at. So I preferred, magic and science are both in the same area, but and somewhat interacting with each other, but not fully and completely. And so that's science, but magic, like I said, magic isn't science unless you're going into like alchemy or something like that, or potions, and that's like actual science and chemistry and shit. But that's that and that's this. And so I really don't like it when magic is treated as a science. Magic is supposed to, it's supposed to be unnatural and natural kind of at the same time. It's supposed to. as opposed to setting in stone how the world works and how things affect the world around us. Magic is the thing affecting the world around us for the most part. Magic is the thing changing kind of our perception, I guess I want to say, or how magic basically is altering uh, our preconceived reality, I guess, is the best way to say it. Magic is the force that if science is the force that really kind of explains how the world works, then magic would be then the force that uh, kind of gives the middle finger to science and says, "Oh no, because I can bypass that and do this," you know. Uh, so that's kind of that, and there are like a bunch of different universes and a bunch of different series. I'm actually going to like this kind of like essay style and kind of come, I guess, to a main point at some time uh, about how different magic works in different series. Take the series I reviewed just last week, Yu-Gi-Oh. Instead of focusing, yeah, instead of focusing on wizards and witches and elves and demons and all that, it focuses on high school students for the most part. And our main character stumbles into magic. He has magic with him at all times, but he personally can't use it. And the magic used in Yu-Gi-Oh is more it's more illusions and kind of bringing things to life than it is like actual, like sorcery, like Harry Potter type stuff, except for that one ancient edition laser beam episode with Pegasus and Bakura, but that's that. And so there's a bunch of different ways that it all kind of comes together with like the Millennium items and everything. And so in that universe, the magic isn't really like the main point of the series. It's just kind of there. It's in the universe, and this is the kind of magic where its only real kind of purpose is to get the characters and the plot where we need it to be. Like at the start of Duelist Kingdom, we would not have that whole thing play out the way it did if Pegasus hadn't used magic to snatch the soul of Yugi's grandpa. Uh, and even in that universe, there is magic interacting with science. Because if we're going by the manga canon, which it is, as the manga is the original thing, the first duel between Yugi and Kaiba is directly responsible for the creation of the holographic projectors that are used throughout the rest of the entire series. So there's that. There are universes where the magic is very minimal and it's more kind of a character piece, kind of like a slice of life kind of thing where oh yes, this character has magic. There is magic around this character, but it's not like the big thing. It's more kind of uh it's more underplayed, and it kind of plays like a kind of a side role to whatever the hell is going on. My example for this would be Kiki's Delivery Service, or Madono Takyuben, as it's known in the Japanese version, based on the novel with the same name. We have this young witch, Kiki, and she's setting off to, kind of find herself, become a better witch, and by doing so is utilizing her own and her only talent, and that is flying on broomstick. And even though there was a lot of flying in Kiki's Delivery Service, like the movie, I've read like 3 chapters of the book, not really read more, but that's how. So even though there is magic there, Kiki can only do one type of magic, and that's fly. And she can't like levitate anything else. She can only fly on her broomstick, and that is absolutely it. It's kind of hinted that she might be able to make other things fly, like in that scene with Tombo when she's riding with him on the bike with the propeller. But that's kind of debatable. Uh, and so, but the movie isn't really so much about Kiki being a witch and becoming a better witch. It's more of Kiki being a young girl, a young person, and kind of growing up and maturing and learning about life itself. Even though there is magic there, it's not like it's not like what's a good example? It's not like others. It's not like Harry Potter, where magic is everywhere and it's constantly being drilled into you. Yes, there is magic. This is happening right now because the characters are using magic. It's more of oh here's this girl. She just happens to be a witch and she's going off to the world and she's meeting new people and learning new things. But she just happens to be a witch and she happens to be training herself to become a better witch. Uh, while I'm on the subject, let's get into the magic of Harry Potter, because that's kind of one of those things where it's very kind of difficult to pinpoint exactly what its roots are. A lot of different series kind of, if they use magic, most will take the time. I'm kind of overgeneralizing here as I have done in the past, but most will for the most part kind of stop at one point to kind of give you the reader or the watcher or the viewer or whatever a kind of explanation, a kind of like background or whatever as to kind of like how the magic works, why it works, where it comes from, and stuff like that. Harry Potter doesn't do that. Harry Potter never explains how the magic really works. It never explains where it comes from. It never explains uh, why it exists. It's just, oh, these people are witches and wizards and they can do magic, which is why when I often talk about like Harry Potter, I often say they're basically people with uh, magic guns, with gun shaped with stick shaped guns. That's basically what they are in Harry Potter, and I love Harry Potter to death. It's like one of my favorite book series ever. But if I were to fault it on anything, I would fault it on not explaining where the magic comes from, why it does what it does, how it came to be, and all this stuff that I would kind of like to know. Uh, excuse me. It's in a burp every time I do it for some reason. Why is that? And so let's see. How then is magic affecting things in Harry Potter? Well, magic really does kind of play a large role in the Harry Potter series. I mean, pretty much everything that goes on in Harry Potter is because of magic. I mean, he is famous because of magic. He is hated by his aunt and uncle because of magic, and he is accepted at his school because of magic. So, in that universe, magic does play a very large impact on the plot and on the world itself. And there are other universes like it, but it's like the most that really like stands out as to like another one actually would be Negima, which I did kind of what I'm still doing my kind of volume review on. I've only done the first volume so far. Uh, Negima is, as people will say, it is Love Hina meets Dragon Ball Z meets Harry Potter, and that is a very apt description of it because the main character is directly based off of Harry Potter, uh, and so in Negima, magic becomes more of a factor as the series goes on. Like within the first two volumes, it's kind of like, oh, he's a wizard and he can do this kind of stuff, but it's not like super highbrow like wizardry, like Lord of the Rings or I guess Harry Potter kind of stuff, where it's like, oh my god, look at all this shit happening because of magic. It's very kind of, he is a wizard. There are wizards and witches living among us in disguise, and he can do this, but this is kind of what he can do, and here's how it's kind of a mix of Harry Potter and Kiki's Delivery Service and Yu-Gi-Oh, where the magic is used to get the plot and the characters where we need it to be. Yes, it is kind of minimal and a bit more of a character study where we have the characters that can use magic, but it's more them kind of in some place finding themselves and learning more about each other and their personalities and finding out what they want to do with their futures and their lives. And it's also ever present all over the place and central to the plot and the characters. We wouldn't have Negima without Negi himself as a wizard. Uh, so and everything that happens to him is because mainly he is a wizard. Uh, Negima was a very, very plot-driven story. So, and that's really kind of that. Uh, uh, another good example of magic and the way it kind of worked within its universe would be Cardcaptor Sakura, which I will review some point in the near future. If I don't review it tomorrow, it will be the output next week or the week after that. I swear to God. Uh, the magic used in Cardcaptor Sakura is not your typical wizardly and witchcraft type like anything. Cardcaptor Sakura, as I know of it so far and as I've seen of it, lacks any real central antagonist. It's more kind of, oh, you need to collect X uh, because you released it into the world. And that's really kind of it. Cardcaptor Sakura is a lot like Kiki's Delivery Service, where yes, there is, but although the magic in Cardcaptor Sakura is far more present than it is in Kiki's Delivery Service, where the main character can only fly. Cardcaptor Sakura, the main character, is using magic in every episode to collect these cards. So, um, these cards that have magical powers to them. So while it is the magic is central to the plot, really, uh, it is also very much kind of like letting the characters kind of bounce off each other and kind of develop as people, as opposed to, oh, she is a witch. Here is her magic. Here is our plot. Go. It's a very, very well done series and how the magic and the characters interplay with one another. I really love that about it. Let's see, what's another good example? There are a lot of there are a lot of series where magic, like I said, like one of my big things with Harry Potter is that they never ever go into how the magic works, why it works, and where did it come from and all that stuff. There are series though that really kind of delve into that though and make it a tad bit more complex than I would like it to be. One of the best example of that would be a certain magical index or Toaru Majutsu no Index, the light novel series, the manga, and the anime, where it is said that magic and mages came as a result of people wanting to be able to have special powers like the Espers were able to acquire through science, but magic was instead attained through like religion or something. I've watched the series, but I haven't paid too much really close attention because kind of that's like one aspect of it that really kind of throws me for a loop. I'm like what? So that's that aspect of it. And so it is a tad bit more complex and like the how the magic works. It kind of I kind of have to like really stop myself and like really look at it like, okay, so that's how it's working. But overall, it's more magic and science really kind of playing off of each other and kind of like establishing the two universes colliding with one another than anything else. Like there's character development, but it's not like a super profound character study kind of thing, or like it's no Kiki's Delivery Service really, where you're developing the character kind of, and just because she's a witch, that's not like the most important thing. But it's more, oh, we have these characters who can use magic, and we have these characters who have powers gained through science, and kind of they can't use the other one's system without fucking themselves up, kind of thing. And here are scenarios. They're not all magic related, they're not all science related, but it's kind of a mishmash of both. Uh, and so I leave you now then with the question of what is it that you want to see in a magic system? What is it you want to see your magical characters doing? Because most of the time when I think of magic, my of what I want magic to be like, I think of Negima and a harem series called Magicano, where it really was, I like to call it poof magic. It's kind of like Fairly Odd Parents, where you just poof shit into existence and everything. And so that's what the characters were doing with their magic. They were using it as like blasts and beams and just kind of willing shit into existence by, force of will. And so that's kind of what I think of with magic. I kind of want that for my system. But what do you guys want, you know, magic to be like in fiction? What are your thoughts on it? And leave your answers in the comment section below. And this has been your Flashback, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.